Welcome to Old, that starts with female Conan O'Brien who's married to a guy called Guy. I wish I was making that name up, but I'm not. They have two kids together, an 11-year-old daughter named Maddox and a 6-year-old boy called Trent. They're on their way to a beach resort, and after some not so subtle foreshadowing, they arrive and this ginger hotel manager dude greets them. Then this super veiny blonde hoe gives them special drinks that are tailored to their liking from their preferences. They get settled in their room, then go to the beach, and Tent makes friends with the hotel manager's nephew, whose name is Idlib. They're being dumbass children on the beach, annoying every human being there, asking them what their occupation is, what their name is. Then at night, Guy and Brisket have a fight, mentioning how this is going to be their last vacation as a family before they break up because of a unknown, at least to us, illness that Brisket has, and the kids overhear some of this fight and get a nice healthy dose of childhood trauma. Tent then goes to decipher a message that his new friend Idlib wrote for him in a secret language they made up. Then we cut to right after sunrise somewhere on a beach nearby where a woman is getting naked, hell yeah, and a black dude is watching her go for a swim. Cut back to the resort with another family in the morning that consists of this Instagram bitch that has a calcium deficiency and a child with this doctor who's a schizophrenic or has some sort of mental illness that's intermittent, and right at the start of it, he also brought his mom and their dog along. Then this unrelated woman called Patricia has a seizure. Her husband Jared with an N says this is a normal thing, she has a condition, blah blah blah. He's the type of guy, by the way, that would get really mad if someone misspelled his name on a Starbucks cup, and people like that are retarded. Like, you're not that important, no one cares about you, relax. Anyway, right before that, the resort manager went over to the O'Brien's table to tell them that they have a special secret beach with cool rocks that no one knows about, and he tells them the classic sales line of, no one knows about this, but I'm telling you because I like you. Tells them that he'll arrange special transport just for them if they want to go, and it'll be their little secret. They agree to go, and he hurries off to take his nephew far away from these people. Now, as you know, I'm as dumb as they come, but the trailer, the poster, even the name of this movie spoils the fact that they're going to the beach and makes them old. There's no surprise about that, but you can at least make shit subtle, Mr. M. Night shithead, because this kid Idlib is obviously going to have something to do with them finding a way to get out or helping them in some sort of way. Anywho, they get onto the bus to the not so secret beach because Ginger Dude told schizo calcium deficiency family the same lie, and they're coming with them to the same beach. And the man, the myth, the sham himself is driving them over to it. He takes them over there nearby and hands them a bunch of food and supplies for the beach, like towels and chairs and shit. Tells them to follow the path, walk through the rock canyon, and they'll be right on the beach. They walk through, schizo doctor sets up his umbrella, sees the black guy, then he's like, actually I'm pretty racist, let's go over there. Then his retard wife starts taking pictures for the gram. Guy and Brisket are bitchy to each other. Then Maddox is like, oh my god dad, that's famous rapper Mid-Size Sedan. What? What the fuck? Dude, I promise I'm not making this up. That's his actual name in the movie. He tells her to leave Mr. Sedan alone to relax on his vacation. The kids build a towel house, explore a cave, play around, and eat a lot. They find some old toys and rusty utensils from other people who were on this beach before them. Then while Tent was playing hide and seek, a dead body floats up over to him. He runs back to his family, and it turns out to be the blonde bitch from earlier that went swimming out naked, as identified by subcompact SUV. He comes over like, oh damn. Why is this so funny, man? Am I stupid? Alright, whatever. Fuck that guy and his stupid naming. They think he has something to do with it. He says he has nothing to do with it, and he starts bleeding from his nose, and everybody questions that. The schizo doctor especially doesn't trust him at all. They can't get any cell reception on their phones. Then Jaren and his occasionally vibrating wife come in through the rock canyon. They got the same offer from the hotel guy, but what if they say no to the offer and just decide to stay in their rooms or chill in the resort? Do they get kidnapped by hotel people and then brought over here using a robot so the hotel people don't age and get trapped there? I say trapped there because they are. See, they tell Jared there's a dead body, and he decides to go back through the canyon to get to the entrance, find a road, and get some cell reception or something like that. He tries to go back through the canyon, but as soon as he does that, he gets a super massive headache, comes back to the beach, and passes out with no recollection of what happened inside there. Then the kids see some shiny thing on a mountaintop far away and think that they're being watched, but they do not ever, on any moment in this movie, tell the grown-ups about this, which is especially crazy because if you think about it, kids, especially at this age, don't shut the fuck up and tell you pretty much everything. And these kids definitely seem like the yapping type, but it happens, I guess, whatever. They then start growing out of their clothes a bit, then Grandma dies, and Schizo Doctor thinks that she died of shock from the other dead body. Brisket, who went over to contact the doc because she thinks her kids are having an allergic reaction to something, goes back to her kids and finds out that they have grown up a bit. Her son now looks like an Auschwitz survivor, and her daughter is fucking jailbait. I am not sure if she is of age yet. Mom is surprised as hell. Dad comes over, also surprised as hell. Mid-size sedan freaks out and turns into a large exotic supercar and tries to make a run for her and run through the rock canyon. The doc sees that and runs after him. They both get in there, get a massive headache, walk back, black out, and remember nothing of it, just like Gerend. Brisket thinks the kids are sick or are reacting to something and wants to get out of here as fast as possible, so they all pair up and go off to find a different way through different paths in the canyon to hopefully find a way out, but they all pass out again and come back without any memory of that. The doctor, whose mental condition is worsening, sort of like he went to the beach that makes you retarded instead, pulls out a knife and slashes small Japanese K-Truck's face, and then he's like, I'm sorry, I didn't know why I did that. Then the cut immediately heals and they all freak out a little bit. He tells them that he didn't kill the blonde hoe, they just bonded over the fact that they're both sick and came to the beach together. Asian Dude figures out that in every group there's one sick person, so that might have something to do with something. Then the doctor checks out his daughter and says this:
She's definitely aged. I put her biological age somewhere between 12 and 13, and she turned 6 2 weeks ago on Tuesday.
Then his dog dies. Brisket tells her daughter to go dress up in one of her bikinis because she's growing out of this one way too fast. Asian dude holds a meeting asking if anybody wants to swim out and give it a shot to get out that way. No one volunteers. And according to my calculations and what the doctor said, Maddox was 11 and she probably was 11 and something because no one is just 11. If his daughter grew up to be 6 to 7 years older, so let's say 6.5, and a significant amount of time has passed since he said that sentence, you know, she got dressed, dog died, blah blah blah, that means that Maddox is definitely of age and we can start hitting on the smoking hot babe with a clear conscience. Hell yeah. Regular sized economy hatchback probably just cracked the same code I did and goes off in this super useless scene to talk to Maddox on a small walk and probably try and hit on her, but because she sort of still has a kid's mentality, it doesn't really work. Also, come on dude, she was like a kid a few hours ago. Have some decorum. What? Yeah, I know, I'm a hypocrite, but at least I'm a passive observer. Anyway, Patricia is a therapist, so she gathers everybody around and is like, everyone needs to have a voice here. We can't make constructive decisions if we don't feel safe together. Bruh. She's right, but bruh. What the fuck do you have to make it sound like that? Like you're getting into a children's share circle. Sounds so vegan and cringe. I'm being a mean again, whatever. She's right, moving on. The share circle does not really get anywhere because it gets interrupted by Brisket feeling a bit off and passing out. They see a bulge in her stomach and the guy tells them that she has a tumor, but it's supposed to be benign, but it starts growing rapido as they speak. So they send off Trent and whatever the fuck the doctor's daughter's name is, Becky probably. Send them both off to go play while they decide to open her up and cut the tumor out of her. The doctor disinfects her with some alcohol, but remember, he's on the beach, that makes him retarded. So he's like, whoa man, Jack Nicholson dude. Yo, focus, surgery time. Oh yeah, he cuts her open, but the cut heals up and closes up too quick. So he opens her up again, this time they'll stick their hands in there to keep her open. There's definitely still sand on their hands at least, because the doctor's the only one that disinfected his, which means that they're getting a shit ton of sand inside of her, and probably also a bunch of bacteria and dirt or whatever that was already on their hands, which cannot be good. Anyway, they cut a fucking cantaloupe-sized tumor out of her, take their hands out, the wound closes up real fast and she heals up real fast too. It's much better now, and large commercial panel van goes over to see the dead body of the blonde bitch that they covered up with a towel, takes the towel off and finds out that she has decomposed. She's now skeletal remains. He brings everybody over to see this and they finally figure out that they went to the beach that makes them old. You went to the what? The beach that makes you old. The beach that makes you old? Yeah man, the beach that makes you old. Excuse me? I gotta tell you about this beach. It made me old. You have to know that's not possible. Look at me man. I'm old as hell. I'm gonna stop myself here before I recite this whole meme word for word by heart because I can't do that. But what I cannot do is remember even the first 2 digits of my own phone number. So good job, me. Anyway, Trent and Becky are in the towel house they made, and they're like, what's happening to us? We're both growing so fast. I feel different and have so many different thoughts. Me too. You want to stick your penis inside of me? Sure. While these 2 delinquents are discovering their bodies, the rest are discovering and piecing together more things about this beach, and most of them are mad stretches and leaps in logic, but movie has to movie, I guess, so whatever. Here's a quick rundown on what these things are. They're all getting older. Duh. The kids need more food because they're gaining more mass than the adults, so the adults don't require as much food. Duh. They also think that the rocks on the beach are the things that are making them old. Not so duh, but whatever. So Jaren suggests leaving very slowly through the canyon, having a theory that when they try to leave really fast, it's like trying to surface from a deep dive really fast and getting decompression sickness. You have to have like decompression stops or whatever, so maybe leading very slowly through the canyon step by step will help negate the effects of the passing out and the headaches. But everyone says that's a terrible idea because you'll age too much doing that. Well, do you have any better ideas, you stinky retards? At least have one person try it. Also, they say that their hair on nails and shit like that are unaffected because they're already dead cells, but that doesn't make any sense to me because first off, they should still be growing out, right? Because yeah, they're dead, but they still get created, right? And second, what about the dead blonde hoe decomposing? Actually, let me search this. Yeah, see, your cells pretty much die a few days after you do, so how come her dead cells decompose but your dead cells in your hair and fucking nails did not decompose? But fine, you want to brush this inconsistent movie logic to the side for the sake of movie convenience? Okay, but what about my third point, periods? The flow should be extreme, bro. Each and every whore on this goddamn shore should be leaking blood out their like a fire hydrant. I could be wrong on all the points I just made because I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist, I'm just an internet autist. Accidental rhyming over. Moving on. They finally go looking for the 2 other kids and find Becky shoveling food into her face because she's a grown-ass pregnant woman now, and Tent is now brown all of a sudden. Bro be looking like one of those before and after memes. Why is he Indian now? I'm not the only one seeing this, am I? I'm pretty sure he was way lighter skin tone when he was a kid, right? You know what? I don't care. Everybody panics because the bitch is pregnant, the baby starts growing really fast and she starts giving birth, and you think that the baby would grow up like that one video on the internet where the baby shoots out the woman's vagina and grows up, becomes a man and dies. But no, the baby just dies immediately because it can't take the rapid aging effects. Then the doctor starts stabbing the ground and yelling deranged shit at Jared with an N. They can clearly tell this guy's losing his fucking mind. He's a literal definition of psycho deranged insane person that is increasingly becoming a very lethal risk to them. Why hasn't anybody thought to tie him up yet? Or if you don't have rope, put a fucking rock on him or something to hinder his mobility before he tries to kill someone. Oh wait, too late because he goes off to stab family minivan to death, and only after that do they take the knife away from him, and only that, they don't try and restrain him at all, but good enough I guess. Then Jaren decides to try and swim out and around the cove to try and find some help. So Jaren, what the fuck was the point of holding that meeting to see who was the most qualified and most willing to swim out if you were the one that was most qualified and willing to swim out, you fucking bitch. Selfish whatever. He swims out and the rest figure out that the resort people always knew about their illnesses and manipulated them to come over here and gave them special private travel, special treatment and shit so they could kill them off without being suspected for anything. anything. Then it suddenly pops into Maddox's head to confront her mom about why she's leaving her dad. Mom says it's because they discovered the tumor and she didn't want them to suffer. Kid also asks if mom was cheating on dad. Mom says yes. Kid can't believe it, is devastated, and goes off to have a dip in the water and clear her mind. And this marks the point where they all start dropping like flies very rapidly. Starting with Jaren. His carcass floats over to Maddox, and they figure that they make you old and get you dizzy and passed out effects of the rocks extend in a radius around the rocks into the ocean as well, so he passed out and drowned. That's probably also what happened at the blonde bitch. Then Becky decides to climb up the rock, thinking maybe she'll be able to find a way out that way, but the radius of effect of the rocks is more like a sphere of effect in all directions, including up. She passes out right before she uses the top, falls off, and goes splat on the floor, dies. How come she didn't climb back down though? Same with Jaren and the blonde bitch. How come they didn't try to swim back? Because I would assume just like with the attempts of trying to walk through the canyon to get out, they would first start getting a massive headache, then start making their way back to the beach, then pass out. So why didn't any of them attempt to make it back to the beach in the swimming and the climbing? Or why didn't they pass out in the canyon when they tried to make it out? Because you can't have it both ways. Whatever though. Patricia then has a seizure while playing with some pool noodles and dies. Guy's vision starts getting shitty and blurry. Brisket loses hearing in her left ear. Calcium deficiency Instagram slut becomes the hunchback of Notre Dame. She's also very confused and does not know that her daughter just died because she's been hiding in a cave because she's been suffering from a chronic case of I think I'm super ugly syndrome. And after she sees her reflection, she once again goes to hide in that cave. Then Guy tells Brisket, I want to tell you something. And in his infinite wisdom does not tell her that he's losing his eyesight. She doesn't tell him that she lost hearing in one ear either. Instead, he tells her that he went through her phone one day and saw her text messages, realized she was cheating. She apologizes to him. He forgives her. Big time reconciliation happens and they just sit there enjoying each other's presence while the schizo mentally deranged Doc gets another knife from his mom's purse, I think, and starts army crawling towards Guy. He sort of sees this and asks Brisket, hey Brisket, who's that? She obviously can't hear him. And you know how I know that at least Brisket did not tell him about her hearing loss in one ear? Because if she did, he'd be trying to grab her attention by holding her or poking her instead of talking to her. But on the other hand, they're super old right now, so even if they did tell each other this stuff, they could have forgotten or been too stupid to actually use this information wisely. Also, they're like contemplating their mortality super hard right now, so their mind is kind of occupied. Can't really blame him. Anyway, Doc comes over like, I had to kill the black guy. I mean, he was black. And now I have to kill you. No witnesses. Starts slashing away at him instead of stabbing him, which he could be and should be doing, but movie wants to keep on moving, so whatever. Brisket finally notices that the Doc's attacking her husband and takes some hits herself, then goes off to warn the kids, who were digging through where they found the old toys and rusty knives and found a journal of someone who was on this garbage island before them and wrote down all his thoughts and basically arrived to the same conclusions that they did, except he also logged all the names and addresses of all the people who are on this godforsaken island with him at the time. Brisket arrives and tells the kids to go hide without asking any questions, so they go do that in a nearby cave. She takes a rusty knife and goes back to slash a gash into the doctor's arm, giving him sepsis or whatever, doing 10x poison damage on him. He gets infected super bad and starts rusting IRL, then dies. Meanwhile, the kids who had found some matches to light the way in this cave find that the hunchback of Instagram is hiding in this cave with them, throwing the rocks at them, telling them to turn the light off. I'm so ugly. Stop looking at me. And the rock falls on her arm, breaking it. It heals in the broken position, and she keeps trying to attack them in the process, breaking more bones. And I'm not going to show any of this because I can barely edit it myself. I do not want to see that visual again. I'm just going to describe it for you. Imagine a wacky inflatable arm, inflatable tube man, but anytime he gets into a wacky position, the bend at his body solidifies, and then he gets into another bend and it solidifies as well, and it keeps going like that. It's fucking awful. Bad visual. Do not want to see it again. She dies too. They get out and find out that their parents barely survived the psycho doctor attack, and they chill with them for a bit. Super hopeless, but kind of at peace. Guy dies, then so does Brisket shortly after him. Morning comes and the kids are now in their 50s. They decide to keep trying to get out, but before that, Trent's like, you want to build a sandcastle first? Yeah. Priorities. So they go do that, have some fun. Trent gets the idea to go open a secret letter Idlib wrote him for some funsies as well. Turns out the message was about his uncle not liking the coral. They think that kid overheard something important and doesn't know what it means, but it could help them get out of here. Just like I predicted. See, there's some coral off the shore, and Trent had this theory while they were digging through the sand and finding old stuff from old people who were here before, that maybe if they had some protective metal tube that they could put over themselves, it could protect them from the make you old and give you massive headaches and make you pass out radiation that the rocks give off, and they could just walk out of here through the canyon, but they couldn't find any metal, so he's thinking that this coral could be their metal tube that they could swim through and negate the effects of the make you old rocks or whatever. So he goes off to get the journal for evidence, and they start swimming towards the coral. They see there's a convenient tunnel through the coral, so they go through it without resurfacing first for one last breath like morons. They start swimming through it, and Maddox's beach shirt gets caught on one of the corals, and they struggle for so long trying to get it off. They finally break off a piece of the coral, find the gap in the coral, and resurface to take one last breath to keep swimming through it. Why not just take the shirt off, you fucking mongrel dickheads? Also, they really try and squeeze the drama out of this bit where they're trying to break off this piece of coral to save Maddox, as if they're not gonna make it out, but of course they will, because it's obvious as shit. You're not fooling anybody, Mr. M. Night shitfuck. Speaking of him, he's the one that's been watching them from a nearby mountaintop, spying on them and filming them, sees that the kids went for a dive and didn't surface for a while, presumes them dead, calls that into his superiors, deeming this experiment over, drives over to a nearby lab where the hotel manager and the really veiny bitch are, with a bunch of other scientist fucks with suits, having a moment of silence for their fallen test subjects. See, they have a pharmaceutical company, and they study and lure people with illnesses over to their resort to give them special drinks with test medicine in them, trick them into going to this beach that ages them really fast so they can test the effects of these experimental drugs on them over the course of a lifetime in just a few days to save time, and then release this cure to the public and make big pharma money. After the moment of silence, one dude comes up, takes the floor, and says that one of the experiments was a success. They gave Patricia a cure for her epileptic seizures, and she didn't have a seizure procedure for around 8 hours, which translates to 16 years. Didn't she die of one though? So can you really call that a success? Also, what about Brisket and her tumor? Or does that not count because the tumor didn't disappear, it actually grew bigger, and them cutting her open, taking it out, and her surviving was a bit of a fluke? Probably was. Anyway, we then get some really close-up and weird shots of their faces discussing the next test subjects that they're gonna test shit on. Later back at the resort, Tent and Mad Dog 357 are somehow able to make it back and get in, find the cop they met earlier on vacation, and give him the journal with all the incriminating evidence and explain to him what happened, and he believes they're really far-fetched story, I guess. The journal checks out, all the people in the journal are listed as missing persons. Then they go and stop the new arrivals, aka test subjects, from drinking the experimental drugs. Tent shows Idlib the secret note he wrote him, the hotel staff get fucked, and the kids get flown to a nearby airport in a helicopter, but not before flying by and taking a look at the beach that makes them old. Seriously? You went back? You really want to risk it with this unknown sphere of effect? I don't care that you're hovering over it, probably at a safe distance, encased in a metal object that's probably protecting you from the make you old radiation. You're not sure about any of this? You don't know that you're at a safe distance? You don't know that the helicopter's protecting you? This is retarded. Anyway, they then head off to the airport where their aunt is waiting for them, and they have lots of explaining to do. And that's it. This movie gets 10 Joe Wogans out of 69 Dave Chappelle's.